Sit, talk to me, damn it, or else I'm gonna throw you in the fire!
You stupid bitch! You filthy... Flyover State of Fear. Welcome back to Flyover State of Fear with my lovely co-host Brian. How are you?
I'm good.
I feel like I think these come back to back. Talking to Killing of the Sacred Deer today, but literally hitting play. First watch for both of us. We'll get into that in a bit, but thinking, shit, we have recently just covered back-to-back Nicole Kidmans.
Oh, yeah, I
and
guess we have.
Pleasantly happy about it. All right.
Yeah, no complaints. I mean, we'll get into it, I'm sure, because she's going to come up, but no complaints.
No complaints.
This one was, if you watched our Others episode where we talked about Nicole Kidman's The Others, Youssef was there, and he's the one who suggested this movie, and, it's hard because me and Youssef align on a lot of things, but sometimes he might suggest something that's some pretentious bullshit, and this one rides the line. No spoilers. I'm not going to tell you where I land on it. We'll wait till the end.
This is where we'll do our beginning a little shorter then and get to it, because I think me and you are going to be aligned in the thinking of the movie.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
I don't know, because we also didn't talk about it before.
No, I never know. I would never waste that content.
That's actually not even being cheeky. That's not even being cheeky. We really have no fucking idea. All right. Since we've last discussed, I mean, it's the end of January now. Oddly enough, the Oscars were announced today, but that has nothing to do with this podcast. There's literally this
Infinity Pool didn't get any noms, so I'm out.
No sucky babies for James.
No.
Although Alexander Skarsgård in that movie just plays such a great broken, confused man. Anyway,
I'd be a nom.
But yeah, it's the same complaints every year, just in a new package.
Well, my thing with the Oscars is I realized a long time ago was I don't really care. I like when the movies I like win awards. That's fun.
Yeah.
But then when they don't, or it's a movie I don't care about, I don't watch Oscar movies just because they get nominated. It has to be something I'm interested in anyway, and then if it got nominated and draws my attention to it, that's fine. But I've skipped over plenty of Oscar movies that I didn't watch just because they were perfunctory. I was I don't need to.
I know for you, it's I think using air quotes for anyone listening, you grew up as a Browns fan essentially, or in your house with your mother. Is if they were ever in the Super Bowl, you'd be like, I guess I was interested adjacently for
I went to a lot of playoff parties because my team was in the game.
Yeah, but you don't care other.
And like I said, there's so many. There's countless examples of how movies that win Oscars don't stand the test of time, and movies that are just good and don't win any awards go on to be classics. It's meaningless. It's a very patty hand stroking thing for them.
I have fun with it. Almost every year. Some years I'm not into it. But having said that, it's the same complaints and things packaged year in and year out, and it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be right.
They can't nominate everybody, so there's always going to be somebody complaining.
I like it for myself. That's about it. Anyway.
Like I said, I like when movies I like win awards. That's fun. I enjoy that part of it.
I wish there was,
whatever.
I do wish there was horror this year that was, that was represented. I think you could go with, I mean, you mentioned Infinity Pool, that's out there enough. I think you could also go with probably screenplay wise or technical wise. Probably you could always go with Talk to Me was really stand out. Well, that's where I'm confused in shit though. Especially when it comes to Oscars, is the foreign language category. It's okay, why couldn't it have When Evil Lurks and Well, I know why, but why couldn't When Evil Lurks and like Godzilla -1 be in that best foreign language film category? It
Yeah,
makes, like 2 genre movies. Like,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, obviously Godzilla got nommed for special
that was
effects,
very
like we
cool.
knew it would, which is great. But like, yeah, it'd be cool to see it get a noted it because it's actually a very good
Oh,
film
it's a
too.
beautiful,
It's got
beautiful
a
movie.
it's actually got a great story and like great characters and emotional weight and
I
everything, and an amazing monster.
I saw a cousin of mine this weekend, and we talked about that stuff, like Oscars, the blah blah blah. She was like, "You have any recommendations?" I was like, "Godzilla," mine, and she was like, "No, no, it's not my scene." And I go, "Listen, it's one of those movies that could literally be about like you could replace Godzilla with like a fucking box of Oreos, and
Yeah.
I'm looking at
Well, he
box
would
of
have to.
Oreos.
I
That's
mean,
why.
or something destructive, but like Godzilla could be like an air assault from another country. It doesn't have
Yeah,
to. He just happens to be a monster.
it's
Like,
that inconsequential, because by the time you get into the end of that movie, you're already so invested into it. Like they could be putting anything out there and be like, "Yeah, let's go." Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. Have you seen anything recently?
oh well, of course, I'm always watching. I'm always watching horror, even when I'm taking a break from horror. I'm watching horror. Most recently, I got two that I wanted to talk about. From 1997, this one's a throwback. It's Snow White: A Tale of Terror,
Saw you
starring
tweet that.
Sigourney Weaver and Sam Neill, and also Monica Keena from Freddy vs. Jason. Um,
Who's that in Freddy vs. Jason?
she's the main girl in Freddy vs. Jason. The
Oh,
he
really?
ruined both our pasts. That
So she's
girl.
pretty big. She's probably pretty young in that.
I mean, 97. It's about 10 years before Freddy vs. Jason, so she's probably like
No, that's like
late
4 years before.
teens.
That's like 4 years before Freddy vs.
I thought
Jason.
Freddy vs. Jason was 2007.
No, it's like 2003,
Oh, is
2004.
it that early?
So
Okay, then
maybe like
yeah.
5 years, 5, 6 years.
Yeah,
Anyway,
so she's probably like
semantics.
20 in this and
Okay.
26 in that or something. You know what I mean?
Uh,
But either way, it's a fun one. Sigourney Weaver gets to play a bad guy, and she gets to like get all made up like an evil witch. So she probably had fun with that. It's a
should I
fun
watch
performance
it?
from her. Yeah, you should watch it,
Where,
of
where,
course.
where is it?
Oh, it was on my DVD shelf.
That's cool because I think I tweeted at you that was one of those covers walking through the
Yeah,
aisles as a child going, "Ooh, not you! What's this Snow White? I'm
yeah,
7.
yeah,
Creep
yeah.
me out."
It was definitely, and I like to think of it too because it's like right in the same era where she was making Alien Resurrection. So like Sigourney Weaver was really feeling herself at this time. She's just like, she's got her Oscar. She's done her prestige movies. She's just like flexing some muscles and having
It's
some
like a
fun.
couple years. I'm gonna do Holes.
I'm about to be in Galaxy Quest. I'm
Ooh, yeah,
killing
great.
it, killing it. Oh,
No,
oh no, I was gonna say one other one, from a director that we all know and love, Mr. Rennie Harlan. 2013, Devil's Pass. Have you ever
never
heard of
heard of it.
this?
How is it? No.
It's fun. It's about. Have you ever heard of the Detlev Pass
Mhm.
mystery?
No.
And for just a quick liner notes, this is not completely accurate, but there's a mountain area where there's this pass in Russia, and there was this super mysterious death of all these campers, and in really weird ways, they stripped off their clothes, they tore out of their tents, some of them were missing parts, and like it's been a mystery that people have speculated about for a lot of years. And this is a thing where they like do basically a Blair Witch knockoff
So it's
about
found
that.
footage.
It's like a bunch of kids go to like do a documentary about Detlef Pass, the real
Sure.
event, and something happens to them, and then it's found footage with them.
I'd be interested because Rennie Harlan is such a, at least back in the 90s, let's say, it's about the
Mhm.
last time I thought of Rennie Harlan. I mean,
Yeah.
he makes such a which weird choices as the director is why his movies, like, you know,
I mean, hey, I
his
think
his Nightmare,
he's an action legend. He made some killer movies in
Long,
the 90s.
yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah, I was thinking of like Deep Blue Sea and
Oh,
like
fucking
his
Die
and
Hard
his
2,
and
Cliffhanger,
his Freddy movie Cliffhanger, uh,
Long Kiss Goodnight.
Long Kiss Goodnight. It they're all fun as hell, so I'm willing to give almost anything he's done a chance because there's, like I said, there's a weird sensibility about like some of his fucking choices, and
Oh,
I think
sure.
that's why he kept getting work. Um, yeah, myself, I mentioned before I had a weird 6 day yesterday, and I watched a very poor horror comedy starring I think his name's Taylor or something. The heavier guy from Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. I think his name's Taylor. It's Taylor something or Tyler. And Malin Ackerman.
I bet it's Tyler.
And it was called Cottage Country, and it was fucking rough. And they just tried every like horror comedy trope on small budget they possibly could. And like the worst representations
There's
of
some amazing horror comedies out there, but I do think that horror comedy is one of the most try-hard genres and like
Tyler.
very hit and miss.
Tyler being, but I could look at the cover. I mean, that is Tucker and Dale type
Yeah,
cover. I
yeah,
mean, I knew it
definitely.
was going to be bad. Don't get me wrong. It was fucking terrible. Anyway, that's the closest thing to horror. I guess Godzilla -1 for genre since a couple weeks ago. And yeah, still keeping it pretty light. I'm playing that video game Alan Wake 2.
Oh yeah, that's like a horror thriller game,
Oh
right?
yeah, full blown. And it's fucking creepy. Like it got me a couple times where I was like, I don't want to play. I'm not playing in the evening because like the lights are off and I'm playing to get more invested. Nope. Yeah, it's a whole horror writer back and forth. Recommend it if anyone has a like a Xbox, PS5, whatever. But Killing a Sacred Deer.
Are we ready?
I think we're ready, right?
As ready as I'll ever
I feel
be.
like nothing's really getting me hard in the movie space right now with the horror place. The most interesting thing is I want to check out the Snow White. I feel like that is on Tubi. Or
Oh, it's got. I bet it's got to be.
full disclosure, where I watched Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Oh.
Uh,
I actually re-signed up for Netflix and watched it on Netflix.
okay, cool. I still have yet to break and sign up for Netflix.
Yeah, I didn't want to, and I guess I should have looked a little. I just like thought Netflix was like the place I was gonna have to watch it, so I did their cheap. You know what I realized about myself? I used to be a real stickler. It's part of probably why I started buying movies. I hated watching things on TV. I hated watching them with ads and
That's
commercials.
why I started as a kid.
Right.
Yeah.
But like I think what I really hate is that they edited stuff out and you lost stuff. I've realized that if the movie is complete, I can stand a few commercial breaks. Now, I got to give a shout out to it
Agree.
to definitely Peacock and maybe Paramount Plus does this too, where they do a block of ads at the beginning. They'll be like, "Here's 3 minutes of ads,"
So
but then the movie is no breaks for the movie.
so I like that you mentioned this because I had a heavy Peacock like watching content week. Shout out to Craig Robinson show, killing it. Me and you were
It's
messing about it.
great,
It was so good.
great show.
Um, but I had and so there were commercials spliced in on some of the stuff I was watching on the app. But what they did, which other things don't do that have them, is they definitely plan where to insert the commercial break, so it's not just like a
That's a
Tubi
big
where
thing. Tubi doesn't do that. Tubi will
well,
cut right in the middle of a scene.
it's the algorithm of we're talking, bam, Tide ad.
Yeah.
God, one of the things it was might have been that Nanny Diary. I don't know. It was one of those weird movies we watched yesterday, but the way it was cutting and certain things looking, is this part of the nope? Okay, that's an ad. Um,
Because all those streaming movies look like shit, so they all look like a commercial anyway.
hmm hmm So, but I like that you mentioned because literally just thinking about the ads in the space because so. No, this was on Tubi for me, and I think it's uploaded. I mean, you probably could have found this on. Could you have found this on Canopy? I know they had a pretty big
A24.
A24.
Yeah, probably. I really should have looked a little harder, huh?
I should have looked a little harder too, to be
Yeah.
fair.
Netflix.
But
I just signed up for the $6.99 with ads version, so whatever.
how were their ads?
So far, not too terrible.
Hmm,
They were
stupid.
mostly like in as far as for the movie scene breaks. They did them pretty well. I
Oh, that's
thought.
good. That's good. But yeah, this movie,
And not very long, like 30-second ad, not like 2 or 3 minutes of ads.
not like Paramount or something.
Yeah, where like you'll have like like a bunch.
It's like, here's 2 minutes of ads, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
But
Get me back
that's
to Colin Farrell's beautiful beard. I can't.
literally there's a. I know we said we weren't going to jump. The end shot, like the not shot, but like the end to end scene where he has the beanie on and the beard.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this you were like, and it's kind of laying it back in his head. I'm like, that's back to you in your tabloid days when you
I
were
was
just
gonna say,
like,
it looks like when he was on Scrubs.
yeah, you're just like running around with the scruff and the beanie, and like women are like, that's a heartthrob. Like that was that end of the anyway. Um, no, this movie's Yorg
Yorgos Lanthimos.
Yorgos Lanthimos. I wanted to make sure I said that right. Who's like become this pretty prolific director. I
Well, he's
saw,
big right now on well, you know what we're talking about. His movie Poor Things got like
yeah,
11
that movie
nominations, I
is
think.
phenomenal. That
I haven't got a
movie,
chance to see it. I definitely want to see it. I did not make it a priority to see it in the theater though. That's my bad.
I saw it. Uh, it's very like this. It's actually it's goth Barbie in a. It's
Yeah,
erotic
I think we
goth
talked about it on
Barbie.
the
We talk
last
we
episode.
talk about it, and it's fun. I mean, like it's good. It's a very different tale
Yeah,
than
I
something
like
like
Emma
this.
Stone. It looked fun. I'm definitely gonna check it out when when
I
it's
but
streamed or whatever.
that was the first of his I've seen because I've never seen Dogtooth. I thought I had seen The Lobster, but I realized I think I rented it and like fell asleep and then never revisited. Like I
Yeah,
can't say.
I'm the same way. I haven't seen
Uh,
any of his movies, and this is a first time watch for me. So we're both
or The
coming in
Favorite.
blind.
Yeah.
So if you're a
But
fan of this movie and you're tuning in, don't get offended if we're too stupid and we missed the deeper
oh,
themes.
this movie, watching it about halfway through, I thought, oh yeah, this is something where we should have some sort of smart guest on to go
Lon,
for.
we should have had Lon on.
Um,
He could have done
definitely.
all the talking.
Yeah, he could be like, wow, no, that's to represent his id.
Like, yes, I
Ah,
also
yes, his id.
this.
Yeah, yes. Now, so just a quick plot synopsis. We normally do, and this one I can tell by the sentences now without reading them that this tells us everything we need to know.
Oh yeah. Well,
Dr.
don't
Stephen.
spoil.
Well,
Don't
I'm
if
gonna read
it's
it.
a spoiler. It's not a
No,
spoiler one,
it's
is
the
it?
Google synopsis that we've read on every episode.
That doesn't mean it won't be a spoiler.
Yeah, you're right. We'll see what's going on. Dr. Stephen Murphy is a renowned cardiovascular surgeon who presides over a spotless household with his wife and 2 children. Lurking at the margins of his idyllic suburban existence is Martin, a fatherless teen who insinuates himself
Insinuate?
insinuates. I don't know. I
No, that
can't
can't
read.
be it.
Uh, insinuates
Ins-
himself. It should say inserts himself into the
yeah, it should
doctor's
say
life.
insert. That's a weird use of
Yeah,
insinuates.
that's
Google.
okay. Inserts himself in the doctor's life in gradually unsettling ways. Soon the full scope of Martin's intent become m- menacingly clear when he confronts Stephen with the long forgotten transgression that will shatter his domestic bliss forever. So that actually makes this shit sound even more dramatic. Because it doesn't play out. The movie doesn't. So the movie, literally, the first note I have is "the fuck," because the movie starts out with a real heart surgery,
Yeah.
and it's just a footage of that.
Yeah. It's I was like, oh, this is rough. And then I also thought about how like I was gonna have to look at Barry Keoghan's face for 2 hours, and I was like,
I
that's
lit-
rough.
the weird boy is here is my
The
second
weird
note.
boy has come. Oof. You know, I have to say, I'm glad though that we're letting people who look like Barry Keoghan get famous. That's actually good.
But I have a. It's good. It's good. I he So his big thing is the salt burn now, and he has his big
Yeah,
old
he's in
he's
Saltburn right now.
he's his big old penis, and he's getting like doing like jacked covers and like
Yeah.
red carpets. I think he has some like thought Insta model girlfriend, like doing him. No shade there. And I think he was quoted being like, "I know I played the little freak weird guy, but like it's time to blossom out or something." And I'm like, "Oh no, oh no, not the typecast, but like." You need to stay in that lane. You need to stay in
Yeah.
your Paul Dan. You need to stay in the Paul Dano lane.
That's right. That's right, Barry.
You're
Know your place, man.
you're not. You think
You're not
I'm
going
gonna
to be
use
James Bond. Don't
I'm gonna
think you're
use
going to be
some
James
weird
Bond.
I'm gonna use some bad analogies here because I know he has his fans. I've seen them on Twitter. All four of you guys. Barry Keoghan. That's what I'm talking about. I I I do not want to see him go the way of as an actor of like how the guy who's in The Bear is like
Yeah,
like being
Jeremy
a
Allen
heartthrob.
White.
Jeremy
Yeah,
Allen White who's like, ooh, what a heartthrob, and he is because of the characters he plays, not
yeah.
because of his. It's matured into that. That's where we're going with Keoghan, and to each his own. But in this movie, I mean, I see this. This is like peak little freak.
Yeah. In
Um,
this, honestly, this movie made me think they should have hired Barry Keoghan to play Corey Cunningham in Halloween Ends.
now that's cat. Now that's
He'd
yeah.
have been good. They
That
even
would
have the scene in this where she's like riding on the motorcycle and all hugged up on him, the daughter, and that's immediately what I thought about. I was like, "Ooh, Halloween Ends."
that might be my. That's the best shot in all of Halloween. I'm kidding. Um,
Oh,
that's
what a
a
great
good
film.
that's a good compare. That's a good like casting. I feel like I
Halloween Ends couldn't get a classy guy like Barry Keoghan to be in their movie though. He'd have looked at the script and
is
he'd be like, "Nope."
is Barry Keoghan a classy guy? I mean, he's known this year for like fucking a grave and like licking up
Yeah, okay,
period
but I
blood.
mean, I guess what I meant classy, I meant artsy. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
oh
He
yeah,
has
yeah.
like he would need his movie to now. Granted, Halloween Ends is the most artsy Halloween movie, so maybe they could have bagged Kit Barry,
I don't
but
know. I'm pretty. We're talking about this. I don't want to give him not the credit of like not artsy enough because the right now we have Paul Giamatti doing presses being like, I'd love to do a horror movie. I love the
yeah,
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He's talking about like Barbarian and shit and just collective people going, well, we would have cat if we knew
oh yeah,
Paul. So let's see. Barry Keoghan, no, he's full blown. No, you're right. He's too classy. I mean, we're going from this movie. From this, I mean, he
oh
actually
he's in the
plays in a
Green.
lot.
I mean, he's in the Green Knight.
The
He's
Green
in
Knight, he was super weird in because it was
yeah,
like out of nowhere weird too. I mean, Dunkirk, he gets a role in. He was in the TV miniseries Chernobyl. I'm just reading his IMDb. Green
yeah.
Knight.
Actually, he's in a great movie that I always recommend to people called American Animals. That's a true story about these kids who like stole these famous books of paintings.
That's
Um,
with
Evan
Evan Peters.
Peters is
Yeah,
also in it.
yeah. No, I remember when it was out. You were talking about.
It's great.
He was the famous
One of my
MCU.
favorite heist movies of the last like 10 years, probably.
He was the famous Droog.
Ah, that's right. He was Druig.
And Banshees and Sharon with
Yeah.
Colin Farrell.
I was just talking about. I need to watch again. That was so good. I love
So
Banshees.
good.
Great.
That
That was one of
actually
those
brings,
heist movies last year that I was like, deserves all the praise it's getting.
and Colin Farrell won Best Supporting Actor, right?
Did he win the last year? I don't
I don't
remember. Like
know.
I said, I barely pay attention.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I don't. But sorry, I'm off track here, and actually, this is what we're talking about. So the cast though is Colin Farrell, Nicole Kidman, your two leads, and it like wonderfully cast. I think Colin Farrell to me, it. He's not quite like Nicole
he
Kidman.
was
We
in The
just talked.
Lobster, so I think Yorgos Lanthimos must like working with him.
Yeah, I was meaning the talked last about Nicole Kidman, and I was like, I'm always not surprised she's a great actress,
Yeah.
but I'm always a little like, oh yeah, shit, no, you do real movies and are good, and not in these like gimmicky things that you could perceive of. Colin Farrell had that lane, and then just kind of like went away and came back and was like, nah, I'm just doing art house movies,
Yeah.
and like, and if I'm gonna do the Batman, you're gonna put me in some
Right, you're gonna cover me in
prosthetics.
so much makeup that you can't tell that I'm Colin Farrell underneath.
Yeah, because like to me, like Colin Farrell is like, oh yeah, that's Bullseye from Daredevil still, or like the
Phone
powerful.
booth.
I
The
was just gonna say
phone
the
booth.
powerful performance in Phone Booth, or like Alexander, or like trying too hard in Alexander the Great. Like that's where my brain will go to him, and then going like, no, you've actually had like even like something like Horrible Bosses, like an interesting small role where you're just like, I'm here to steal a scene for a laugh because I know I'm Colin Farrell, and you'll find this funny.
Yeah.
It's like a cokehead.
Yeah, he's definitely someone who's grown on me too. And like he did like those Martin McDonagh movies and stuff. He's in Bruges
That's
stuff.
yeah. So he's a good actor. It's a hot take, I know, but anyway. So we start the movie and we find out he's a surgeon, and it's a little like this movie's really interesting because it definitely I don't know. Do you think it wants to present itself at some points as being like more of a black comedy in certain ways because the
Definitely in some moments for
the
sure.
dialogue
The
especially is
awkwardness of the dialogue of a lot of times, especially with some of the things Martin says and the way he says them, are very funny.
it's written like it's not even written, it's delivered and written as if read the lines of the script but don't act.
Yeah.
Like everyone's just like the big one, not the big one, but the biggest, like the first tell is like, oh, my daughter, she's menstruating, and it's it's like, huh?
They're like at a dinner party. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, huh?
My daughter started menstruating this week.
And I think there were some parts in this movie too where I like kind of laughed when I wasn't supposed to.
Well, sure. Like I said, there's uncomfortable laughter in this movie. There's times that make
Um,
you laugh out of discomfort.
but so no, but we start the movie off
Oh,
and
we start the movie off with some like interactions with
another
Martin and
doctor.
what is Colin Farrell's name? Do you remember?
It is
Hank,
Steven.
Harry, Stephen. Okay.
Steven.
I was
Steven and
Anyway.
Martin.
We get to see some of
Steve
their
Martin.
interactions, but we don't ever like they take their time in revealing what their actual connection is or how
It
they
takes
know
for
each other or what
it
they're.
seems
But we also do know that he's kind of lying to people about how he knows Martin for some reason.
that's why it seems insidious, like in the
Right. It
sense
made me
of
think he was a male prostitute.
I thought they were maybe having yeah, that he was
Right.
essentially
And I think you're
molesting
meant
him.
to he's buying him expensive gifts, he's lying about how he knows him. That's all stuff that's supposed to guide you down that
Oh, this
path.
is one of my daughter's students or my daughter's classmates who's really interested in surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's absolutely, and they build to that. And one thing this movie does is it like all movies, the music, the score really tease it up for you when it's like this is supposed to be a like dun dun dun
Oh yeah, well the music does a lot of the work because there are scenes where
because they're not acting.
it's
No one's
very
doing
like
delivery.
right there's like it's like a very flat shot and nobody's really reacting or emoting, but the music is like horror movie music. They'll like
Yes, so
they're,
this is
they're
definitely one where for our show of what we covered, um, I'm not putting it in the horror category or it's kind of
I'd probably call it more of a psychological thriller.
I was gonna say it's kind of a thriller.
Yeah.
It's
It's also
very
got a
artsy.
supernatural. It's got a supernatural edge to it in a way.
You're right. That's the weird. There's no answers. They say everything
Right.
that's on their mind, but there's no answers to any of our
Yeah,
questions.
everything's open ended enough to leave it in kind of a supernatural space.
Yeah. So, having said that, though, Colin Farrell's name is Steve, and Barry Keoghan's is Martin, and yeah, they've been slowly meeting, and he's like, "Well, you should meet my family. Come on by." And Steven eventually does bring him by his family, Nicole Kidman, and everyone's very like uptight and proper, and his daughter is like this is supposed to be like the singer. Um,
Also, the,
that's another comedy beat too
the
because there's a
singing
whole.
is quite bad.
It's she literally the first note. The movie's telling her she's supposed to be a singer. I think this is on purpose because she does a pop song. She sings Ellie Goulding,
Yeah.
a pop song, like a pop singer's popular song, for like 2.5 minutes.
There's a couple things I noted about that I wanted to talk about with the family dynamic that was going on, like before he brings Martin in, that kind of struck me. First of all, we should talk about General Anesthetic, which is like a sex game that him and Nicole Kidman play,
So I
where
want to.
he's like she like pretends to be a dead body,
That's
kind
what that
of.
is. Okay,
I
I was
think
wondering
so.
because the way
Or
she.
General Anesthetic, at least she pretends to be like passed out and incapacitated, and then like
Mhm.
he takes advantage.
That's what that was. Okay, because literally,
Yeah,
I was like, "Oh, okay, Nicole Kidman, all right," and then she
yeah.
just lays there, and it's very uncomfortable. And I was like, "This has to be." So I know that maybe I sound
Well, he like
naive on this.
drags her onto the bed, and they kind of like she like flops down, and then he like drags her on the bed. And then later, it's used when they're
Must be
having
some
or
sort of fetish thing.
right. It's like a sex thing between them. And then I was also like, there's obviously a tighter connection between Bob, who's the son, and Nicole Kidman. And I was wondering if Barry was like before we find out what's going on. I had in my mind was Barry like a son replacement for him,
Mm.
where he like is not having a good relationship with his son, and he's like but searching for something there.
There-
Which didn't end up really being the case, but
No, I wouldn't say that. I think he's just a bad dad.
um,
Um,
yeah, he's not a great dad. No,
well, they're all just so clinical. Everyone's just so clinical.
yeah,
But my wondering is huge thematics. I mean, almost immediately in the dialogue and stuff about the human body and things of puberty and uh like maturation and everything. Like it's all
yeah.
like
It's like
people
they're
just
talking
like
about the
straight up
girl's
talk
menstruation. They're talking about
about
Bob's hair grow.
hair. Like
Kids.
there's like these kids are very aware and this and they're almost at points talking the art house version of like an Aaron Sorkin character.
Yeah, I can see that.
Especially like when we get close to the end with the daughter Kim.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, no, Brian, that's a good point though of like the relationships we see at first and what we're meant to believe. Well, then actually before we also meet, he brings Barry too. We also find out through a work party. They go to a big work party and they meet everyone. We meet. He's close with the coworkers. This is clear their life, the doctoring and all this shit. He's a
Yeah,
recovering
his
alcoholic.
like best friend appears to be like an anesthesiologist
Uh
that
huh.
works with him that like
Yeah.
is like his buddy.
Yeah. And you find out he's a recovering alcoholic. It's been about 3 years.
Mhm.
And that has some play later on. But then right after that we do get the um. Actually, no. I'm sorry. I want to say this before we get to there because there's a line and it falls through to the end. And actually, like the payoff in it is, um, he talks. We're with one of the conversations of Barry and Martin, and he mentions the line of having having good have a lot of having good friends is better than having a lot of friends. I'm paraphrasing here.
Yeah.
There's this conversation they have, and that actually comes up later, and where um because Colin Farrell's always essentially saying the opposite. He's saying whatever he needs to say to whoever he needs to say it because he says that to Barry, and then later on in the movie with his son, he says the reverse of it. He goes,
Yeah,
"Oh,
it's
having
good
a
to have a
lot of
lot of
friends." He's
friends.
like, "It's
Yeah.
really good to have a lot of friends," and he was thrown off with that. But Barry, I'm sorry, but anyway, he brings Barry home. Barry also, I won't give him the actors' ages because the actor and Barry Keoghan and the daughter are like 14 years apart. There's a big age gap between those two
Yeah,
actors.
Barry Keoghan's playing a lot younger than he actually
Yeah, he's
is.
supposed to be playing 16, and the
He's supposed to be
daughter
playing 16, and the girl actually is
is
like 15 or
14.
16.
She's a
Yeah. Oh,
14.
is she 14?
Yeah. So, but she goes there. They go there. He's there. He's like, "Oh, come over, for dinner or whatnot," and they hang out. There's so much artwork going
He
on.
brings the
He
kids
brings
little
gifts.
gifts. He brings
Yeah.
them little trinkets, little knickknacks, which I think might come into play later.
I mean,
Um,
are they the signifier of what happens
well,
to
that's
the
what I'm saying.
children?
Is that are they a talisman? Are they? We don't know. We haven't got into the mechanics of what's going on yet, so
And we
we'll
never
circle
will.
back. We'll circle back. Um, so he meets Barry. Kim is obviously very already like just very taken by Martin. She like is obviously interested in him and thinks he's very cool and interesting. Even in this first interaction, I think Bob is a little more wary of Martin,
Bob,
but
Bob just reminds me of a kid. He's like, "You got hair? My dad
yeah,
has hair."
yeah. So you
Um,
get my dad. You haven't got that much hair compared
M-
to my dad.
Martin, Martin though with the insane move and another funny ass line too of Can I smoke in here?
Yeah,
Um, and she's like, okay, by the window, because she wants to be cool.
right.
And he starts smoking. When did you start smoking? About 8 months ago. I'm addicted now.
Oh man, he's so emo in that moment. I love it. He's like, "Don't ever start. I wish I hadn't, but now I'm addicted." It's so
Hysterical.
funny. It's so good. Um, so then after this whole thing, then Martin invites the Colin Farrell to his house, which
Mhm.
also Martin was running down is not very nice, but I thought his house was pretty nice.
It was nice. It was fine.
Yeah.
And we get a nice jump scare of Alicia Silverstone. They take her out of
Which
her
turns out to be
cryogenic
a
thing.
cameo. I thought she was going to be more of a character, but it's
I thought
kind
she
of
was
like
going to full
yeah.
character. So apparently, I mean, one is a full character. One is can't like her and Nicole Kidman both reached out and were like, we want to be in Yorgos's. We want to be in your movie, whatever it is.
And he took the one who's the biggest actress on the planet and not the one who hasn't worked in 20 years.
Yeah,
Ah, that's what
yeah, yeah.
makes sense. That makes sense.
So, but like basically, at least from the IMDb trivia, Alicia Silverstone was like, and she quoted that I, if I don't get it, like I just want to be in one of your movies, or else I'd kill myself. Like I'm sure it was like jokingly dramatic, said in a.
She's like, I swear I'll baby bird some food into my kid's mouth again.
Because I think I looked at her IMDb just to like during this watch, just to like be like, what have you been up to?
She's got a horror movie out, like a pretty recent one.
She is. Yeah, because
She was in the worst movie I saw last year.
every time I see her, she's in like she, uh, she's just in like a random ass fucking thing.
Yeah.
Um, like she
Yeah,
was,
she's still working a little bit
yeah,
here and
she
there.
works. She looks like she's worked
And she's pretty good
consistently.
in this. Like in her one scene, she's pretty good.
Yeah, I think she's really good. I think she's really good in this. So that scene, so he comes over the house. He offers. He says they're gonna have meatloaf. It's fucking. I don't like meatloaf. I have a thing with meatloaf. Gross. It looks gross too.
Yeah.
Um, and like he's like, oh, do you want to, Colin or Steven, do you want to stay and watch a movie? I'm like, God, what movie is it going to be? And also, what does it mean? It was Groundhog's Day, and the scene of Groundhog's Day talking about, I don't know, I'm a god. Like that's on
Yeah.
purpose. It's an on
Yeah.
purpose moment. What does it mean? But anyway, a little bit back and forth. He's like, I can't. He's like, I can't really stay. I gotta go with my wife. And rightly so, Alicia Silverstone goes, well, call your wife. It's fine.
Yeah.
And he's like, nah. And he stays for half the movie. Fucking Martin, though, halfway through, he's like, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. And immediately Stone's like, you got great hands. You have really great hands. And then she just deep throats his
Yeah,
hands.
she's just like immediately trying to put him down down her gullet.
Yeah.
Like,
She's like,
get those Colin Farrell hands in your mouth.
and he's like, honestly, doesn't pull away as immediately as you should.
Yeah, it's an awkward situation though. You know what I mean? Like there's an element of like what is happening, what is going on here. You know, women talk about it when you're assaulted, how you freeze up. I could see it just being like,
Mm.
I'm so freaked out right now, and like this is such a weird situation. I legitimately don't know how to react. Um, but he does, the right thing. It's weird that like I don't know. Martin has this weird thing about like, and that's again like the movie still hasn't really given you everything about what's going on with this relationship. So now you're like, okay, so Martin wants him to be his dad, and he wants him to like replace his dad
Well,
and be
that's
with his mom.
it, because it seems
And I
like,
also thought, do you think had that happened, had that played out, and he'd have like in Martin's mind, whatever Martin's fantasy, he leaves Nicole Kidman and gets with his mom. Then do you think Martin doesn't do the stuff he does?
well, can I say, I think I have to talk about this with just a spoiler at this point. Like,
No, that's fine. We can get
I,
into it
I
when it
think, I think in Martin's head, he's was gonna kill his wife. Like because remember it was like you got to kill one member of your family.
Mhm.
I think he was. I think in Martin's mind, the perfect scenario is you kill your wife, you
And
kill
then
your
my
you,
mom
and
takes the
then my mom
spot.
takes care of the spot. His spot.
Yeah.
You're you're my father, and the two things because his mother also because we don't see any more scenes of her, but it almost feels like she was somewhat in on this plan or into it especially
I
how
would say definitely at least the part where
at least
we
hooking
get
them
this guy
up.
over to the house, and then I fuck off. Martin fucks off so that I can try to deep throat some fingies.
Yeah, that's what it seems.
At
Because
least she was at least in on that much
she's
of
in
it.
on
But
that.
also, we should just go ahead and lay it out. So what starts happening, and it
Yeah, lay
starts
it
with
out.
Bob. Is he's like he gets paralysis in his legs. He can't feel his legs. He can't walk. And they're running all sorts of tests on him. They can't figure. You got that real Exorcist kind of feeling of like the terror of a sick child, where you don't know what's going on with him, and the doctors can't tell you anything.
Yeah.
Um,
But is it weird
and,
that
and
I never felt like a sense of dread for these kids?
well, we can talk about that. Yeah, I mean,
Anyway, go on with the
yeah. Let's
plotting
let's
of
let
it.
me get through some of this first. At the same time, as obviously all this is happening because of what happened with the mom and everything, Colin Farrell's trying to pull away a little bit more from Martin, and Martin's still in the orbit though. We know that he's like seeing Kim more than the parent, more than anybody knows. He's definitely like getting in Kim's head. Um, and he's clearly trying to get a hold of Colin Farrell, and he finally tracks him down, and that's when he lays out the whole plan, and he basically tells him that your both your kids and your wife, it starts as three stages. It starts with paralysis, and then they'll stop eating, and then eventually bleeding from the eyes.
And then they'll
And
die
when
in a couple hours.
you get to bleeding from the eyes, then you're like down to your last couple days. It's
Hmm.
coming. Death is imminent. And
Yeah.
like we've talked about too, there's no
There's no answer.
um there's no ever any implement or indication of how he does this or what it is. It's just an inevitable thing that he knows is going to happen. We don't know if it's like he's a witch who cast a spell. Like I said, they gives them those keychains
But
or
they
those
don't.
little talismans or the little gifts he gives. Is that some kind of like voodoo where
But
they
they
now like
don't. They don't even. What makes this so different, except for those trinkets, they don't even portray him of having any. Let's compare it to another A24. Like it's not like a Hereditary, right? Where like there's things in there like, oh, um, there's symbolism, there's this, they're being traditionally witchy or
yeah. When you have the
mystical.
character, she goes and has the tea at her house.
Yeah, there's a mythical. There's none of this. It's literally just happening,
Right.
and
Well, and he just states it as fact. He's like, this is just a thing that's happening to you.
yeah,
It can't be
that's
changed. It's a price you have to pay because what we find out is that Martin blames Colin Farrell for his dad dying. His dad died during heart surgery, and uh, Martin
well,
blames.
and that's another thing that is wildly. That'll wait actually. Yeah, so he blames him for his. We find out that's how they know each other. His father died on his table, blames him, and that's when Nicole came in is like, oh, like every time she's like, oh, did you drink before that? Knowing like you clearly drank on and gotten in trouble during surgery, and it's been a problem.
Well, and like now, obviously, our minds as the audience is going to, oh, this is the incident that probably made him stop drinking. Like Martin's
Hmm.
dad's death is probably the thing that was
Yeah,
like
once
that
again, we
flipped the switch.
never an answer about it though.
No, they never tell us that. That's what but you're definitely, I would say, led
Uh
down that path.
but yeah, he goes. Yeah, and then they just kind of go like the kids. Bob is paralyzed, and we deal with his paralysis for a lot longer, I think, and the testing and everything. And well, I was going to ask you, in your professional opinion, how were the scans depicted?
I mean, I don't know. It seems like they did as many as they could. They tried. I do feel like once Colin Farrell kind of knew what was going on, he should have. He still doesn't immediately come clean. I'd have been like, I need toxicology. I need blood work. Something is like there's an outside force acting on this kid, and I want to find. We need to find out what it is. Like something is. He was fed something. He was given something. Although
There's
another place my mind went is Martin some kind of mentalist? Is he some kind of like the power of suggestion?
well,
The weird way he talks and stuff. Is he subtly like controlling them, because we do see after Kim gets sick and her and Bob are both in the hospital, that she can get, like, when she's on the phone with Martin,
I was just gonna
he
say.
talks her into getting up out of the bed and walking to the window. And it's like the only time we see her walk ever.
Well, it's literally
after
like, you're
she
right,
gets
like, holy
stricken.
shit, she could walk.
Yeah.
Because she's one we don't, and it's a good filmmaking move, this. We don't see her trials and tribulations. We saw it all, we know what's happening,
Yeah.
beds next to each other.
Well, we just know that she's having the same experience
Right,
now.
that's what I mean.
It's like
don't.
we saw what was going on with Bob, and now they've same thing's going on with her, same symptoms.
So
They probably run the same tests. So we just
yeah,
like
it's
we
good
cut
filmmaking.
to now they're both sick, and we're on the, you know.
Yeah, she gets up, talks to us. That's a good point. Maybe it is that, because then
Right. Is it
immediately,
some kind of something about the way he talks to them or controls them mentally? Like,
an immediate
is he
the
some kind of cult leader or something? You know?
and immediately Nicole Kidman is sitting in there, and she's like, "Huh? No, you're not allowed to talk to that guy. Stop it!" And then they never walk again. Um,
Well, we think that, but also like there's more indications later that her and Martin, that she might even be kind of, before she gets sick, she indicates that she knows that he's upset, that he's causing this. She's like,
oh,
"Are
she
you
then what?
mad at me because of my dad?"
Yeah.
You know, and like,
So is
and
she in a trance
and she
from
kind of like
him?
offers herself to
She
Martin, and
does.
he's kind of not into that. Like, he doesn't like kind
She's
of take advantage
sh-
of that.
she puts a full come on him, like strips
Yeah,
down, and is just like,
so much creepier when you use actual 14-year-olds.
that's what.
It's
Yeah, that's why it's such a.
it adds to the realism, but it also makes it worse. That's why it's worse. Like,
It's one of those things of like, oh, we could at least like maybe shoot it a different way, so it's not just like, here's this
yeah.
14-year-old in her underwear. Um, but uh, yeah, a little before that though. But you're like, that's when she's the one who seems truly like let's use possessed. She seems
Yeah. Well,
possessed
like you
and
said,
taken
it gave
over.
me those Halloween Ends vibes where it's like
And
they're kind of like vibing, and they're kind of both, you know, whether she's getting
um,
manipulated or not, you know.
but a little after that, or a little before that, there was a few things that were really upsetting. There's a couple moments in this movie that are really like upsetting.
We're about to talk about Dad's story, aren't we?
Oh no, I was gonna say this is before. This is actually, I'm jumping backwards a little bit because I'm just
Oh, you're going back
remembering
to the
some
front.
stuff. Is when we get to the first stage of not eating, and Colin Farrell was trying to shove the donuts in the little boy's mouth. That was very upsetting to me.
Yeah, trying to force feed it. Well, there's that like frustration where he kind
Yeah.
of like thinks he's faking it, or he's like,
Well,
you could just
well,
snap out of it. It's
he
just, you
starts
have to be hungry.
he starts dropping them, and he's like, "I'll make you eat your hair."
When he's trying to walk him down the hall, and he just like flops him onto
Yeah,
the floor a
that's
couple
what,
times. It's
it's
so
funny.
fucked up.
No, you know what's the funniest? I let out like with like a huh chuckle. I think it's the scene um of, like right before the phone thing, and like with the phone call outside, and she gets up, and the boy's like, I'll get up too," and he just rolls off
Just
the bed.
flops out of the bed. I don't know. I laughed too because
Because it's
he's just kind of in the foreground. He just kind of plunks out.
that's a thing about this filmmaking style, and the poor things is kind of like that too. Is everything such a wide shot, and from the foreground, like things look so big around these characters, it seems to go,
Yeah. Well,
oh,
and
that
I'm gonna get. I don't want to jump ahead, but there's a.
we're jumping.
I wrote down a thing about horrific absurdity that I think we're going to get into as we get into more into the end of the movie. But I
Yeah,
do want to talk
there's
about when he finds out that Martin's involved with these ailments. He tries to talk to Bob about. He tries to get Bob to like tell him what he thinks that Martin did something to Bob, and Bob's afraid to admit it. So
hmm
he's like trying to coax a story out of Bob by admitting a secret of his own, but he
oh,
tells Bob
so
a
upsetting.
story that would scar me for the end to the rest of my days. If my dad said this to me, I would never be able to look at my dad the same way again.
What is that story, Brian?
No, I think we should save it and let people at home just enjoy it, because it's not really pertinent to anything else.
No, you're right.
Just
You're right.
drops it, and Bob is just kind of like, "No, I don't have a secret." And
He's like, what?
he's like, "I'll tell you a we'll play a game. I'll tell you a crazy secret. You tell me a crazy secret. We'll see what happens." And he's trying to like, and
I also
Bob just like stonewalls him, which Bob's a
good for Bob.
king. I love fucking the little actor who plays Bob rips. He's
I
so good.
also, I also just like how the kid's like, yeah, no, I'm good. I have no secrets. I'm good. And that's like,
I'm good. I'm not a weird freak like you,
that's
Dad. I don't
like,
have
he's like,
secrets.
he's like, that's impossible. And he's like, no, I'm 6.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Or yeah, whatever. I'm like, no,
Um,
I'm not all fucked up like you.
but a little bit after that,
That's way worse than the
he,
having to hear my dad tell that story is way worse than the illness.
oh, it's so bad. A little bit after that, though, he fully confesses and not confesses, but just tells everything to Nicole Kidman.
Right.
And
And this is where she starts investigating to try to
Anna.
find out if he
Well,
was
that's what she's.
drunk or not.
Well, he also says another thing, like this big part of Steven's personality and everything is he's always the smartest guy in the room. He's always changing his stories or things by a little bit. And one of the things he says is, she's like, well, did he die on your table? He goes, well, no, a surgeon can't kill anyone. That's the anesthesiologist.
Yeah.
Which is
And the
a wild thing.
anesthesiologist does the same thing later.
Yeah, which is a wild thing. So she starts doing a little investigation. She's like, all right, well, I'm going to go to the anesthesiologist, who's your best friend. And he's immediately like, oh, yeah, I remember that. Remember when I hit on you at a party? Remember when I wanted you to do something for me at a
Did we
party?
see that? I don't remember
We didn't
seeing
see
that.
that.
She talks about it and like they reference it, but I don't know if we ever.
We
I
don't
thought maybe
see it.
we didn't see it. Okay,
We don't
but
see
yeah,
it.
basically she makes reference to that, like he's hit on her previously, and she'll like for if he wants the information,
Yeah.
and
And
then cut to information handoff.
literally just jerks him off. And the stupidest thing of it, in the sense of the information, stupid for the character, that dumb. He's like, nah, anesthesiologist can't kill anyone. It was the surgeon.
Yeah, he says the
That's
same.
it.
Yeah, he just says the opposite to her. But he does tell her that like he had a couple drinks like
Yeah, he
earlier
calls it
the
the
day
drink part.
before. Like yeah, he
Yeah.
does remember that and stuff.
But it's still another thing in this movie resolves nothing. I mean, she comes like this couple
Well, I
never
think
fights.
it leads her to realize that she like that's finding out that he was probably drunk and that's probably what happened basically leads it to be like, okay, it's his fault, which sends her to Martin to be like, why should me and my kids
Mm-hmm.
pay for this? She's basically saying, kill him. He did it. Kill
Yeah.
his ass. And again, Martin is like, it doesn't matter. Like, I
It's
can't,
not how
it
it
is what it
works.
is. What's happening is happening. There's no amount of changing it. There's nothing I can
Yeah.
do. It's something he has to do. Like,
Yeah, they have that encounter. That really doesn't go much, because they kidnap him.
well, yeah. Well, then again, it's like she tries that, and then she comes home and is basically like, which I have like
Beautiful hands.
nobody dresses down somebody like Nicole Kidman. Like nobody intimidates. No one will cut you down. Anyone who saw The Northman, which was one of my favorite movies of last year, she's incredible in it. She's so good at like making you feel about this tall.
Just
And
small.
then she does that to Colin Farrell, which leads to probably my favorite scene, and a scene that definitely cements this as a comedy in my mind,
Mm.
which is where he's running around the kitchen screaming, looking for teeth or pubes. Teeth? He's like, teeth? Pubes? He's like opening drawers and looking
Oh,
for
find
them.
some little talisman. We have ears in the cabinet.
Yeah, he's talking about it being voodoo or whatever, and that leads him to just like ranting about teeth and pubes, which I thought was so fucking funny.
But she also does the same thing of sucking his hands a little later.
Well,
And
yeah,
oh, that's a lot. You know what? I
we're not.
jumped
Hold on. There's
way too
another. Like we're
far.
about
I
to
know I
get into
jumped
another
way
stage.
too far.
Right, you're jumping ahead because let's get into the kidnapping part. Because I wrote down that he should have watched Prisoners because he would have learned two things from prisoners, and that's that you can't torture crazy, and you can't kidnap your problems away.
But he does. He kidnaps him, and like Martin's almost enjoying it more than not. He's like,
I feel like he gives Martin more power by putting
Mhm.
him in down there. He like martyrs Martin
Well,
in
there's
their
this
eyes.
scene. There's during the main torture scene, right? He's punching him
Yeah,
and eventually shoots him in the leg. And fucking he goes, "It's a metaphor," and bites himself in the
yeah.
forearm. Uh, but that cuts to the hospital and the daughter going, "No, he didn't kill him." Like she telepathy knew when he was getting tortured that no, dad
Well,
didn't
she's
kill
yeah.
him.
They're back at the house. They'd moved the kids back to the house at that point.
Oh, sorry, I'm getting the room look
Yeah.
confused.
Well, because with Martin in the house, it seems like I said, it seems like at that point everybody kind of knows the score. It's like the kids also seem to know what's going on as far as one of them has to die, and the kids begin like kind of taunting each other in a way of
Mhm.
like she's all like, "When you die, can I have your iPod?" and stuff, and he's like talking about they're talking about how they bought me a piano. They just didn't want to tell you, but it's coming in a month. I'm still, kind of
Mhm.
like I'm still gonna be
They're
here and
teased,
you're not.
yeah,
So
but
they're like doing a little back and forth.
they're
Um,
acting possessed. They're acting
yeah.
more possessed,
Well,
not caring because
and that leads into what you were talking about. Well, like Nicole Kidman, kind of offering herself up more to him. Basically, everybody starts sucking up to Colin Farrell because they know that the only thing that's going to end this is somebody getting killed. So like
no,
Bob is cutting his hair and trying to like do the chores, even though, and this is why I talked about comedy earlier, watching the kids drag themselves across the floor all the time and try to do things, and like, it's so funny and weird. They just look
it's
their
weird.
dead little legs dragging behind them as
It's
they
weird. It's visually
Bob
weird.
cutting his own hair and then being like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna water the plants now," and then like army crawling across the floor. So
They're
weird.
all literally sucking up to him,
Yeah. To
and
the point
that's
where Nicole Kidman is even proposing a plan of like, we should kill one of the kids
well,
because we can
Brian.
always have
That's
another kid.
that's that's where I wanted to go with is I literally the one of the I don't have many notes for the later end of the movie because I'm just kind of watching
Right, because you get
is
sucked
going
in, yeah.
is I was like, oh, a naked Nicole Kidman's like, we should kill our kids. Yeah, okay, I mean,
Yeah, okay, movie. Naked Nicole Kidman tell me what to do.
oh, okay, but no, she does that. The one thing a little before that though that's also batshit crazy is he asks the teachers which one's the best kid.
I love that I have getting kids stats from the school. He's like he's like finding
Crazy,
out like who's doing better in classes and extracurriculars. They like flat out is just like which of my kids is better.
crazy. But then
So
they like hang around. I mean, it has to be the daughter, right?
well,
I'm just kidding.
this is like Kim finally breaks, right?
Well,
She
she does her best job to
Well,
like
she
run
comes
away.
down to I think finally the delusion with Martin is finally broken at that point, where she goes down and she's like, "Okay, I'm ready. I'll get you out of here. Let's run away together. You just have to heal me." And she realizes he either can or won't,
Hmm.
and I think then that's where she turns, and then her guilt of having been like kind of like
Then she goes to her
partnered up with
dad.
Martin makes her run away, and they find her dragging herself down the road, and she's basically trying to give herself up as penance. She's like,
Yeah, she has that.
"I will kill me. I deserve it.
She has a little
But I,
speech to her dad,
yeah,
and that's where it's like she's talking like people don't. Which again, is the point of the movie and the aesthetic of it. But like,
sure,
she's like, I deserve to go. I had the life like yeah, like gives him.
yeah."
Um, but they also like hang in that bit of scene that we still have Martin around because Martin does goes away at a certain point.
Eventually, yeah, Nicole Kidman lets.
Um,
She tries
they
everything. She
they
even
hang
like
around
kisses
him
Martin's
like
feet. Eventually,
I
she
was
lets
just
him go.
oh that's what I say like the kissing feet like they hang around him like he's a deity.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, exactly because, like I said, there's the point where it's basically like the bargaining stage, right? They're trying everything. They're like, maybe kissing Martin's feet, maybe treating Martin like a god will get it. No, maybe kissing Dad's ass, maybe he'll pick me. I mean, they're all desperate to find the solution, even if the
um,
solution is just for them, a selfish one.
yeah. but anyway, but yeah, after the runaway, Nicole Kidman lets him go, and this is actually the point where Stephen Colin Farrell has like the more acting in it, where he's like legit like smacking her. He's like, "What would you do that? Psh, why would you
Yeah.
do that? Bam!" And she's like, "'Cause it doesn't matter."
Yeah.
And then
Well, we skipped over a great scene where like when they have Martin captured, and like basically the whole thing where they're torturing him, they're threatening him, and he's like, he basically tells him, like, you can kill me, you dig my grave, you better dig 3 more. Like if
oh
I,
yeah,
you know what I
that's a
mean?
good.
Like
No, that's
that's a really good scene where he's like, killing me
also,
won't fix this. So like
but
it's just an inevitability, and that's what she also
when
learns, and she learns
once
that no amount of begging and no amount of bargaining is going to do it either. So she lets him go.
but they yeah, they all come to it at a certain point. I mean, really, except for Bob, and then we have Bob is bleeding right out the eyes,
Right, we're at the tipping point now. There's no more.
and
Colin Farrell has to make a choice, or
because
this
he's
is
cleaning, he's cleaning in
because
his
you get the
eyes.
impression that if Bob dies of this, that's not like the same as killing. It wouldn't count. It would still keep going. The point is, Colin Farrell has to actively kill someone
Yeah,
of
he
his
can't
family.
let his
He
one
can't
kid
just let him die
die.
of the illness. That won't work.
So he decides, I'm gonna do this in the craziest way possible.
Now, when I talked about horrific absurdity earlier, this is the
Yeah,
scene that really came to my mind.
he sits around. Thank you for waiting on that. Then he gags and balances 2 children. Um, and he just tells his wife, "Yo, we're gonna meet in the circle downstairs."
And
She's like,
down.
"I'm gonna wear my black dress." Okay.
Okay.
Also,
A last ditch effort to be like, remember me? Don't look at how hot I am.
yeah, I also yeah, and
Also, like maybe just something nice to die in, you know?
yeah, I took that more as a, this is how you want to do it. Sure, I'm gonna look nice or whatever. And
Well, I also like the reveal that she was also tied up. It's like he asked her down politely, but he still tied her up when he
yeah,
got her
he
down.
tied her up too. He tied everyone up because he's shooting a gun at her. He's spinning around in a circle with a rifle, blindfolded.
He's doing like what I would consider like a birthday party game, like the one where you spin around with your head on the bat and then you try to like pin a
Dizzy bat?
something. Yeah, dizzy bat. He's doing that, but like with a gun.
Yeah. And I think we're at like the fifth. I think it takes about 5 shots. I tried counting.
Yeah, he definitely misses at least 2 or 3 times
He
before he hits
skims.
somebody.
He like skims Kim's head, his wife's head. He basically skims everyone really close. Eventually, his
Yeah.
daughter, his wife,
He's coming close, but he's not quite hitting. And
and
then
then
he
he hits Bob or
finally
Bob
hits Bob.
or Bob. And then the movie really just, it does end, but we get an after shot of that. We get a Sopranos diner shot.
Well, yeah, they're at the same diner where Martin used to meet with Colin
Hmm.
Farrell, and they're having a meal. And Martin walks in, and he sits at the counter, and you get a pretty meaningful look between him and Kim, which makes me think that she is not out from his thrall at this
They
point.
they quip some long glance. I don't know if you would say out from his throat. It's hard to tell, right?
I like I said, I the impression I got. Here's what I thought.
Hmm.
You got a lot of meaningful looks between them, and then you see they show Nicole Kidman and Colin Farrell like seeing like kind of taking all that in and acknowledging it, and then the look I think they get is wrong kid died.
Oh,
I think they
okay.
look at this and they're like, oh, our problems aren't over. Kim is still like locked in on Martin. Now we killed Bob for maybe for nothing. I don't know. Like I said,
She's walking. Like
she's
everyone's
looking back
healed.
at him. She's like locked in on him. I just don't feel like that's over. I don't feel like Kim and Martin is over.
I feel like that's how. I feel like that's just how. I don't know, because they had that look at each other from moment one.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think he always had power over. I think he almost immediately
Mm,
she was attracted to him in a normal teen way, but I think he also used that. He's obviously got some manipulative tendencies.
sure.
Because Colin Farrell makes a quick mention. You don't really, they never like most things in this movie. They're kind of said in passing. They're kind of not dwelled on.
Yeah,
But he mentions
it's
that Martin had problems like before his dad ever died. He's always had issues.
sure.
So like Martin wasn't a normal kid to begin with.
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I think the movie's it's one of those movies that's purposely left open for you to interpret, but the vibe I got was one of regret. That they were like,
I like
which
that you played
I
that
went
out.
up like they're like, we went the coward's route and did a random, and what we should have done is the right thing, which is what she told them to do, which was let her be the sacrifice, let her martyr herself.
Yeah. That might have
Because
been the
she's
way.
she's poisoned. She can't. She's too far gone. She can't come back.
Maybe she could. Maybe she could.
We don't know though.
We'll never
Yorgos, make the killing of a sacred deer to
more
the
deers.
killingest
Killing season.
killing season. Damn right.
I don't know. What did you I liked it. I did like it a lot. I liked getting my I think at the end of it and talking to you and everything, I did like getting my like there's certain things where I'm like, oh I liked getting my art house on with this one. I liked the vaguity of the storytelling and everything.
Yeah,
Not
I like the
everything
way it took its time revealing
yeah, not
the
everything
revealing things about like no dumb exposition up front. They let the movie kind of breathe, and they let
mhm.
everything kind of like come at you a little more naturally.
Yeah, not everything worked for me in the sense is I do wish some of the stuff was just more of um like I could have used a little more creep factor. I know that's not like the point of it all.
It's more. There's a lot of like kind of like anti. What do I want to say? Like open spaces and just kind of like quiet and kind
Yeah,
of antiseptic feeling. Everything
antiseptic's a
feels
good
very
word.
kind of like alien and kind of like
Alien, that's a good word. He feels like
yeah.
almost every character that speaks feels like they're coming from a different planet, but it's on purpose.
One thing I didn't talk about that I wrote down was why did he hire everybody in this movie is British or Australian or Irish, and they all are doing half-assed American accents. Either just let them talk like they talk,
Yeah,
like
it
fucking Barry Keoghan and Colin Farrell basically have the same accent. Like just let them have an accent.
there's because Colin Farrell's clearly playing his native tongue, just more like dumbed down.
A little bit. It's like
But Barry Keoghan's supposed to be English. I mean, like American
like
English.
American, yeah.
And there's a few times I had headphones on watching it too, where I was like, "Oh, you just couldn't say that word."
Yeah. Well, and Nicole Kidman too. I mean, they've obviously Nicole Kidman and Colin Farrell have been doing American accents for years and years, and they're very
Yeah,
good. But like, it's noticeable to me that like there's not really a single American actor at all. They're all
yeah. It
like,
was
it's
filmed
like
in
if you're gonna have everybody, if you're just gonna have all actors, just let them have accents. I don't care. Fucking Napoleon didn't have a single person speaking French in it. It doesn't. It literally doesn't matter.
still wild, still wild. Um, yeah, I don't know. That's a good observation. It
I get it. You just pick the best actors and all, but like, just let them.
yeah. I think
Why force them to even do an accent? Just don't bother.
I think I don't know if that's a Yorga. That might be a Yorga style thing because um, Poor Things is kind of like that, where like I mean, I have no idea what a good English accent is or not. I just
Yeah.
want to be, but like Emma Stone, uh, uh, Willem Dafoe, like like a lot of people are doing that aren't of a native tongue doing it when they don't need to be because it's a
Yeah.
fantasy movie. Even though they're
Right.
saying we're in England, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. This is definitely I think a unique uh like what's the word unique. I don't want to say possession movie because it's not, but like unique curse film. Like it's
Yeah.
a unique
It's
telling
a
of how to
cursed movie. I would say
of how to
that.
say a curse movie, and maybe that's why Groundhog's Day was the movie that was picked to show that, because Groundhog's Day at the end of the day is a cursed film.
Yeah. And Bill Murray has to find a way to break the curse, just like Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
That's why Bill Murray shoots a kid in Groundhog Day.
He absolutely does.
That's how that movie ends, if you haven't seen it.
And maybe that's all that was. Maybe that's why, and that's really
I'll tell you what,
to me.
just a tangent, because I love Groundhog Day. There's some very dark theories about what Bill Murray may or may not have tried in all those different instances, and killing a kid is not out of the realm of possibility. You know what I mean? He probably did a lot of stuff.
He did a lot of things just to try. Maybe this will get me out of it. There's a certain point, even if you do it and then you're in jail the rest of the days, it's still probably better than.
Let's put it this way. There's at least, he may not have actively killed a kid, but I guarantee there's at least 1 or 2 times that he let that kid fall out of the tree and didn't catch him, and was like, yeah.
Is this the day?
Yeah.
It happens every day.
Yeah.
No, dude. Yeah, so that, to me, I feel like we covered a good length of this movie.
I mean, again, this is when you're talking about movies like this that are kind of left open-ended, it's hard. I always leave feeling like a dumb guy because
you sounded like a really smart guy today.
Well, I just feel like it's one of those things, like, you can only take away from it, what you can, and I'm sure there's other interpretations and different, but
well, these are movies too that really benefit. Like, we do we're not a review show. We just talk.
Yeah,
and have a conversation about movies. And sometimes I think having only a one watch of a movie like this, as me and you did only one watch, is a little more difficult than seeing it a few times, than having conversation about it, in the sense of you see different things, and I could recollect back on, I remember my first watch to that third, like when we talked Infinity Pool, right? Like, that was the third time seeing that movie, and seeing so many different levels to that movie. This movie, I'm sure, is the same exact way.
Oh yeah, obviously.
Like, you watch it the next time, and it's probably like, oh yeah, did you notice that? They never. I'm just making something up. They never address each other in the first person.
Yeah, there'll be some kind of thing that, exactly, or like some kind of looks or glance or knowing thing that, like, you didn't pick up on the first time, but it has more meaning because of what it's coming. Yeah, it's definitely a movie that probably is satisfying for rewatch, but it's also a thing I could see myself not going back to, because it was very good, but I don't know it would have a strong rewatch value for me.
I don't think I'll ever rewatch it again, or if I do, it won't be for a long time. But I recommend it. I thought it was great. And for like what it is, I think you have the new.
Oh, I mean, very creative, wonderfully acted.
It's
a good movie.
It's silly that this movie. I can't believe this hasn't been mentioned once this whole podcast. But we're maturing, so I'll end it with this. This is 2017. This is when this is still like A24 getting its name. And it's just buying properties more. It's the distribution, not so much making. And they clearly were looking for, we have an aesthetic and a lane we're trying to get through at this time, and these are the type of movies we're buying. These open-ended thriller, but it's kind of comedy, like everything.
Yeah.
And now A24 thing's a little different. In the sense, like, it's they're the art house, but they're this, and they're making their movies.
Yeah.
This is not quite there. They distributed it and blah blah blah. Anyway, Brian, if you have any more notes, now's your time. If not,
no, I can't think of anything else. I think we talked this one out pretty good. We did a good job.
All right, I am satisfied as well. And as always, it's a pleasure talking to you.
Absolutely.
And thanks for listening. All, you know where to find us. And stay frightful. Welcome to Flyover State of Fear.